Peace, y'all, and welcome to Gather and Heal, the podcast. My name is Vanessa Suhey, and I am your holistic host. Basically, we're going to have lots of combos. Sometimes it'll be just me, and sometimes we'll have some guests. No matter what the topic is, though, I'm going to make sure that it connects right back to your emotional wellness and healing journey. Welcome back, y'all. It's Vanessa Suhey, your favorite holistic host of Gather and Heal, the podcast. I am super excited because I have a beautiful soul here as our guest. And as usual, we met on Instagram. That's going to be my intro for like most of these recordings. And I love it, by the way. But Regine is here and she is about to throw down with me. We're about to have an amazing conversation about social work and police. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I actually worked for a program for about 5 years or so. And the whole premise of the program is about social workers being placed in police stations to provide support to just young people who are going in and out of the juvenile justice system, who may be gang involved, navigating a number of traumas. And then also we know, of course, like its ripple effect out to the family and the community, right? Like there's levels to this shit. And so I did that work for a number of years. So when Regine came through and she was like, yo, I want to talk about social work and police, I was like, ooh, goosebumps. Let's do this. Before we get into all that juicy stuff, though, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Who are your people? What do you enjoy doing? What brought you to, sending a message to Gather and Heal and getting our relationship started, which I will forever be grateful for.
Thank you. My name's Regine. So if you've ever seen Living Single, the 90s, that's me. I am currently getting my MSW at the University of Denver, which I am super excited about. I'm finally in my concentration year. I derive from Gullah Geechee culture. I learned that from my grandmother recently. Mostly West African, which was also fun to find out. But I was born and raised in New York. I currently live in Atlanta, which is on native Muskogee land, which is super dope. I do enjoy Atlanta. I do want to move somewhere maybe, but who knows? And my people are just really just dope individuals. Like you just kind of connect with people and you're like, I like you and you're dope. And my spirit is your spirit and let's just hang out. Let's connect. Let's talk. But I also am a person that I need low maintenance friends. You know what I mean? Like I can't talk to you every day, but I will always check up on you.
Especially not in the middle of your concentration year. Yeah. Like, y'all, I'm about to go MIA for a little bit. I love you. Yes. I'm out here, but it's not gonna be every day.
Yes. If you see me post on Instagram, you know I'm okay. So like that might be the check-in.
That's my signal. I'm alive.
Yep.
Don't worry about me, y'all.
That is me. So that kind of is a summary of who I am.
I love that. And there's like so many areas in that I'm like, ooh, how'd that conversation with your grandma start? Ooh, just so many things. But I do want to shout out because you were also on one of our very early panels for Gather and Heal. And that's where you shared a little bit about what brought you to social work. But given how we're talking quite a bit about social work today, I'm thinking maybe you could give us another little snippet and then I'll share a little bit too about what brought me to the field.
So after high school, I went into college. I was a bio major, so I came down to Atlanta for school. And I was like, I am going to be a doctor because I'm good in science. Got there, failed chemistry about, don't tell my parents twice.
Yo, chemistry in college is no joke.
It's different. I was high school, like AP smart, but once I got to college, I was like, I don't even like this. So I circulated through a couple of majors, transferred to Georgia State because it was more affordable. Clark Atlanta is private, so it just kept going up and up. And I wasn't
It's
from Georgia, so I
expensive.
couldn't get Hope. So I was like,
That
ooh,
in-state tuition and stuff.
yeah, nothing
Yep.
like that. So I graduated with my degree in journalism, minored in film and video.
Ooh.
And after that, and I took a couple of sociology classes, which was super fun. And after that, I kind of was just doing whatever. I was in the restaurant industry. I started a couple of businesses. I was doing this and this. And then the pandemic happened. And I went into a very low depression, a low point of my life where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't see a future. And that is scary. That was very scary for me because I always felt that I knew what I wanted to do, but I guess I didn't in reality. So a friend of mine recommended social work because I was like, I really do feel like I could be a good therapist. I feel like if I think about the things that I am good at, I do think holding space and just listening to people is one of those things. While therapy is not only that, I do think that is something that I have always possessed. I've always been the person that my friends go to and be like, girl, let me tell you. And I'm like, okay, tell me.
I love your disclaimer in there.
Right. It's not just listening. That's not the only thing of therapy. But after that, I got into social work. I applied to schools, and that is where I felt like I was actually good at something. Like it was probably the first time that I felt like, oh wow, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Like, so when people kind of struggle, like, or when people good at soccer or basketball, I wasn't me. I could,
Me either, girl. Me either. No hand. What is that? Hand-eye coordination.
If you
dangerous.
throw it at me, I'm moving. Like I don't want to catch it.
I'll go pick it up after. Thank you for bringing it closer to me, but I ain't catching it.
Exactly. That was me. So when I entered the social work field, it felt like I was home. It felt beautiful. It felt welcoming. It felt like I could make change. It felt like the space that I needed to be. And I come from a family of nurturers. My grandmother and my mother raised me, but my grandmother was at home all the time. So she always was that family member that everyone would be like, Sonor, da 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 da. Yeah. And just listened. And she had the ability to just hear me without judgment, which is what I learned. And it was so beautiful to have that relationship. And I wish that for everybody. I wish that everyone has one person that they can talk to without judgment. And my grandmother was that for me my whole life. So I was like, wow, I think we're good at this. So I entered the social work field, and I've been really loving it ever since. Assignments are annoying sometimes, but I really do thoroughly enjoy being in the field and connecting with other social workers.
So dope. Because can I tell you, so our theme this month for our membership platform is all about clarity. And you just dropped a couple of gems in different instances in your life where you experienced that clarity, right? You experienced it when you hit those chemistry classes. You were like, this ain't it.
Yep.
And then you kind of fluctuated through other majors, and then you landed on journalism and film, right? Like there's some clarity there. Now, what I think is really dope that's coming to me as you're talking about that is the fact that just because we feel clarity and we feel calm when we make a decision doesn't mean that's the only place and that's where it's going to stop, right? Because then it hit again a little bit later, and you were like, this still ain't it. Something's still off. And you entered that MSW program. Listen, shout out to that friend who said it to you, because
I know. She was my roommate, and she's like one of my best friends. And she was like, because I was saying, I am not about to go back to undergrad, then go to grad school to be a therapist. And she was like, get your MSW. And I was like, oh, what is that even? And did the research.
Same, girl, same. I did not know what MSW was.
Me neither.
I did my research and I applied, and here we are.
Exactly.
It's so funny. um, so that's super, super dope. Like, I love that clarity there. One of the other things that's like really important is to highlight how we figure out this is clear. Like, this is a moment of clarity. So you described a couple of things that were more so external, I would
Mhm.
say. So tell me, what did it feel like in your body when you researched MSW programs and you were like, this is it?
So I will say, if we go back from the beginning, I did not know how to trust myself. I did not
Mm,
trust myself. So I really didn't know what it felt like for a long time to be like, this is what I want to do. Because I was
mm,
like, you're told I'm going to college, right? I was told I'm going to college. I was the only option. You getting up out of here.
mm-hmm.
So I didn't have my own voice that was like, hey, this feels nice. Probably up until my most recent years. I'm 28, so I'm in my later 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently is when I've been able to feel it's, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's this like light. It's this
Mm,
goodness. It's this expression on my face. It's that
yes.
vein that pops up in my forehead when I get really excited. Like it feels safe. Maybe that like
Mm,
that's probably one of the best things I can say. It feels safe and it
yes.
reminds me of home. It
Mm,
reminds me of a place where I know that I can go and I'm comfortable. I know I can navigate it and maneuver it and
yes.
shift and shake, and there's no issues if I am who I am in every single one of these spaces. I'm allowed to be who I am. And
Yes.
that's when I learned to one, listen to my voice, but to two, how to know this is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And also had to learn this is for you, but only for this amount of time because I
Mm,
wasn't a job that what I manifested. I wanted it. I was like, I got it. Had
yeah.
the job. It was really, really rough. And I had to get to the space of like, okay, it was for me. And I'm proud of myself for getting there. But now I have new clarity that this is no longer for me. And we've
Mm,
got to keep it moving.
mm.
So that's kind of how I got to that space, if that answers your question.
Yeah, yes, it does, and then some. But I'm gonna say, as you were saying that, I got goosebumps. Listen, whew, I love it. I love it so much. And because this is just audio, I do want to highlight that when you were talking about the light that you were feeling, y'all, listeners, friends, her hands were just like hovering in and around her chest, right? So
Yep.
that's where I was like, ah, that's where she felt that light.
Mm-hmm.
And then hands came up to your face when you talked about the smile on your face. And so that part, so
That.
valuable. Mm. All right. So for the people who are listening for social work and police, let's go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and move into that part of um, our segment here. So I guess I am super, super curious. Like, what brought you to this topic? What made you say like, yeah, I'm down to do this, and I want to talk about this?
Um, because I originally, prior to being in the social work field, was like, wow, I do think it's a great idea. We should send social workers with the police, et cetera, et cetera. And then getting into the field really made me change my mind and my direction of like, do I want us to be a part of this system?
Mm,
Like,
that
ooh,
part.
yikes.
Yep.
So it was just I guess going from one piece of clarity where I only had a certain amount of knowledge to having more knowledge and getting more
Mm,
clarity of what
mm-hmm.
real or what social like looks like for me. So that's
Yes.
kind of why I was like, I think that'll be a dope topic.
I love it. Because I know I hold a lot of views in regards to our criminal justice system, right? Not just the
Mm-hmm,
police, but how it like trickles out.
mm-hmm.
Probation, judges, attorneys, anyone who is upholding the law as it is written. The system's fucked. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Yes, yes, yes.
There's no nice way to say it. There's no way to
Mm-hmm.
sugarcoat it, and we shouldn't, and we should
Right.
not. So I completely agree with you. Like, now that I know what I know, perspectives change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about for this time in my life and this time in my life, I like to call those snapshots of
Mm-hmm.
our lives, right? Like, this is the snapshot, this is what I learned, what I knew and what I understood, and now is different and it's okay.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like where I'm at when I think about my time where I was placed in a police station and, working very closely with police officers and thinking about, okay, this is the work that I'm doing. I know that there are officers who really are trying to look out for these young people in the community, hence why they're coming into my office and they're like, here's this young person's paperwork. Can you reach out? I'm worried. Or I've been by this house a number of times. Can you check in? Type of thing. That is so beautiful. And I also know that that's really just a handful of officers and stations throughout the whole nation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so there is like, I've got some conflicting parts. There's parts that are like, yes, this is dope. We can do this. Although I do not think we should be in the cars with the officers and rolling up to the house when they got a call. Not that part. Not that part.
Yes. Yes. I don't understand, because it's like, are y'all both police officers getting out of this car?
Right.
Who am I associating with when I have this conversation? What is the connotation now when I have a social work and a police officer pop out? Yep. So yeah.
And imagine being the family on the receiving end. I'd be looking at that social worker hella sideways. Like, I'm not telling you a damn thing because you just strolled in here with this person in that whole uniform and the gun and all that other stuff.
Yep.
I'm not telling you a damn thing.
Yep.
So I know that when working with that agency, we purposefully went separate, right? Like we would not show up at the door with an officer, even if an officer was like, "Oh, I can give you a ride." Thank you. No, thank you. I'm gonna take my car.
Right.
So what ways do you see, if any, that officers and social workers can come together for the community?
In reality, I do not see it. I don't see it because I am a firm believer in, I don't feel as if the system is fixable. I don't feel like if it's workable. I think it needs to be dismantled and recreated. Because if we think about the history of the system, of the criminal justice system and why it was here, it doesn't have a great history. Right. And it was never meant for us. It was never meant for brown and Black people. It was never meant if you are of anything outside the norm. It wasn't meant for you. So it's really hard for me to even think of something that's like, oh, this could work. We can have the police and social workers do this together, because we can have 1,000 community meetings and police are still going to be backed by their officers. We can have 1,000 social workers in cars or following behind, but the police officers are still getting backed by their officers. So we can have body cams and people are still getting assaulted and killed. So it's really hard for me to think of really any way to do it other than defund, dismantle, redo. I can't, and I know that seems extreme, but it's extreme that we have that many Black people dying at the hands of police officers. That's extreme. It's extreme that we think if you did a crime and if you just don't run, that you deserve to be shot or not to be shot. Come on. So that's extreme. So yeah, we need an extreme method to get to a place of equality, to get to a place where marginalized individuals aren't targeted. It's so much more work. And I don't know if social workers and police officers in this system can really, navigate that together. And I know that sounds kind of sad, I feel like, to say, but
it's so real.
That's kind of my thoughts.
And I appreciate them because it's true, right? The body cams, for example, that is an answer to trying to make things work within the system of how it is now. Well, guess what? That just still doesn't work, right? And so you're speaking and you're saying exactly that. What's been proven, but everybody want to ignore it, is that we can't just make tweaks around what already is. And that, for me, is not just the criminal justice system, it's also the medical industrial complex and a number of other ones, school
foster care system, that
all of that.
The systems.
All the systems. I gotta rub my head a minute.
we're you have? I know you have Palo Santos over there.
I did. I lit it. I lit it. We need a little bit more though. A little bit more. Come on, because it's so much, and I feel it so deeply. Right? I feel it so deeply, and it is so frustrating and so saddening, and so it like ignites my passion to say, what else can we do differently? Like, if we dismantle this whole thing, what could it look like that really does center people?
Exactly.
Right? People. I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you came from, so on and so forth. But we all deserve that safety. But that's not something that everybody can walk up the street with. Well, shit, people can't even sit in their damn houses and feel that full safety.
Truly.
Right?
Truly. But then you think of crime and why it happens, and then you think of poverty, and like it's just so many things wrapped up when it comes into the criminal justice system. As we criminalize addiction, as we criminalize homelessness, we criminalize things that as a society I feel like we can and should be supporting these people, but instead we're like, okay, you go to jail. Right. Oh, you have a record. Oh, you are experiencing homelessness. Now you need to pay to get A, B, C, and D. With what money? Now you have another warrant. Like,
and it just keeps stacking.
It keeps stacking up. Now you owe the state this much money. Da 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 da. It just is illogical the way we do it now. And I thoroughly enjoy going to like different conventions and different like, well, they're all virtual these days, but having meetings where people do come up with ideas of like what that system would look like. Yeah. And I haven't heard one that I'm 100% like that. I like that one, but I do enjoy just hearing different ways that people are like, this could work.
Right. And here's the thing, like, I believe you're not going to land on one that you're like, oh, I really like that one. I truly believe that it has to be, and I love these conventions, like this big think tank of like, what can we do? And how can we also do it from self-energy? So that way, if someone says, yo, Vanessa, that part of your idea was dope, and we're going to take this piece, and then we're also going to pull from here and here and here and put it all together. But with me leading with self-energy, I'm not going to have hard feelings. I'm not going to be mad that they only took a piece of it.
Right.
Right. And I think that's the part where like a lot of people get in their own way, where they're like, well, this whole thing goes together. No, this piece is really good. Let's use it. And let's merge it with other ones, because it was just it was a handful of people who thought the current system was a great idea and ran with it. So we need not fall back into that trap.
Like, how many women were a part of that conversation? How many brown people were a part of that conversation? So quite frankly, it's not given what it was supposed to. Actually, it is giving what it was supposed to give for those people. It's not giving what it's supposed to give for my community. And when I say my community, I mean brown, Black people, women, anyone that is gender queer, all of that. That's what I consider my community. So yeah, it's not giving it.
No, not even remotely.
It's difficult. It's so difficult.
So fucking hard too. Right. And I know we're not the only ones who have been thinking about like dismantling the whole thing, throw the whole fucking thing out and start over. I mean, we can't be. Like I said, we gotta like find our like-minded people and find our people who are like, this isn't sitting with me. So it's also what you had mentioned earlier about your community and your friends that you attract. It really is, for me, I go, this is where I go woo woo, but it's like, it's all about our vibrations and our energy that we're putting out, that people know good and damn well that if you send me a message on Instagram, I connect with very certain people, right? I'm not leaving room for anything else. I'm not doing none of the above. And that's how I filter. And my energy knows that. Everything knows that. And that's how I connect with you. That's how I connect with other people. And I'm just like, you the homie, right?
Right.
We only met on screen, but like I can feel, I gotta close my eyes as I say this, but like I can feel your passion oozing. And I think I've said it to you before, and I'll keep saying it, but like the social work field is so blessed to have you coming through.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
My goodness. So
I really appreciate that. It is challenging, but it is beautiful to find those people. And it's exciting. Because you know when you put out those vibes and you're like, we're
Mm-hmm.
vibing. We
Yes.
are vibing. It's
I love the
great.
wave.
Yes, that's how it feels like to me. We are vibing, we are chilling, we are connected on some type of level. And that's beautiful. And I also hope everyone, I remember earlier when I said I hope you all have somebody that can listen to you without judgment. I also hope you have somebody that you just vibe with. And you guys can have these conversations surrounding really difficult topics.
Yeah.
Because not talking about them has not done much for us.
It hasn't done a damn thing. It's caused more harm.
100%.
It's caused a lot more harm. And that's where, I appreciate the generations before me for surviving, right? Like that snapshot in time, they needed to survive. And because of their survival and how they set us up, we now have the capacity to raise our voices, to say something and do shit differently.
Exactly. Which is, I always see on Instagram, like, if my grandfather or something about like, if I was in the past, I would be punching white people, this, and I'm like, that is very disrespectful to our ancestors because they did what they could with what they had, just like we're doing what we can with what we have. And further generations down the line are going to be like, I can't believe y'all put up with that. Listen, me neither. We all weren't, you know, we all weren't putting up with it. There were so many people fighting back. So to not lose sight of that and to not disrespect these beautiful ancestors that survived, because without them being there, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have a next lineage to pass on to the future. So,
exactly. Yes. So I'm curious, I don't know if you've thought this far, because I remember what it was like being in grad school. It's like, listen, I just got to make it through this class. But like, how do you envision the start to your social work career? Like, what are you trying to do? What would you like?
So post graduation, I want to get my my license master social work and ultimately get my license clinical social work. I want to provide therapy for likely black and brown women when it comes to racial inequity and generational trauma.
Fire.
Because because I've been there. I'm here. You know what I mean? Like it's something that I've experienced, and it's something that while breaking those generational curses, having that support of mental health support, I would say is extremely needed, and it's very helpful to just be able to be like, yeah, my family completely disagrees with the way I'm raising my child. They think that my child's going to be this, and this, or I learned this from my mother, so therefore I must do this. And then learning your own voice. And it is helpful when you have someone else being able to say, especially if your whole family disagrees with you, to be able to say, listening to yourself, that is what you should be doing.
Yes.
And it was helpful that I had that person, and I have that person. I am in therapy. I am proud to say that I'm in therapy. I'm in therapy with a brown woman. Like, love it. So I would definitely recommend, if anyone is also going through that whole generational trauma, racial inequity, because also dealing with racism in 2022 is infuriating to me. And I've recently experienced it. So it is infuriating. So I can understand why people are angry. Like, I can understand why people are annoyed and pissed off. And to have another outlet, and it doesn't have to be talk therapy. You can do whatever type of therapy works for you. But something is better than sitting and being angry the entire time. But the anger is allowed. Let it.
Yes.
Girl,
it's useful. In my we need that.
These MFers.
Yep, that's right. I take that anger and I refuel it into passion and do the damn thing.
Yep.
We actually have an episode, it hasn't been released yet, but specifically about anger and grief and how we can transform it into passion and utilize it and how good it is for us with Jessica Reynolds. So check that one out. when it
Yes,
comes
y'all should.
through. Yes. And when we're talking about like anger and racial inequity and so on, it makes me think about all of my Black and brown women who are in this corporate environment, right? And it it continues to break my heart the number of times I keep filling out the medical leave paperwork,
Ooh.
right? Because it literally, there's just so many things stacked that they're just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, I feel you. And you need to take a break.
Yep.
Right. And they're like, but I can. I'm like, but we have this little bit of an option here to buy some time.
Yep.
Let's use it.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to do that. I was in a extremely most of the isms. I'm young compared to everyone else that was there, or most of the leadership, Black and female. And even the leader of that organization was Black and female, and also subscribed to the racial inequities that I was experiencing. Wow. And that was, when I say painful, that was painful for me. That was really, and I still am like, who did that happen? Yes. Right. So having to, like, I had to leave. I was like, okay, I'm done. But when I wind up reaching out to all of my contacts that I made there, and like literally after leaving had 3 different job offers. And people just being like, reaching out and being like, hey, I got you. You want to start da-da-da-da-da? Had to turn down a couple of jobs. And now I'm in a space where they are so appreciative and so kind and buy me food every day. And like, they're just really, really great people. But it was trusting myself to step out on that ledge and be like, because I can't do this. It's either me, it's going to be me hurting the whole time and this job winning, or I'm going to choose myself. And I had to choose myself because I was also in my social, I was in school, and I was like, Lord, please.
This is way too much. All at once. Can't do it. Nope.
Too much. So yeah, it was a process, but it was a worthy process, not to go through the racism, but to really learn that you can trust yourself. You know what's bad for you. You know you hate it here. You should not cry on your way at work, on your way home. You shouldn't do that.
No.
And you can change it. And, you know, I had the conversation with my therapist multiple times, like, but what am I going to do? Like, what?
I know, because it's scary. It's scary. You're like, okay, I know this ain't it, but what's it supposed to be? Because I can't see it. I'm really scared. I don't know how to get there. I don't even know what direction I'm going in.
Yep.
That's big. And that's so real. Yeah. And that piece, again, is that clarity and listening and trusting your own voice, which isn't easy to do. And it's not surprising to hear you say, like, it's just been within these last few years or so, and you're in your late 20s. You know, I'd be going blue in the face trying to tell my young women that I work with, where I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. If you don't know where you're going, what you want to do, and you're still trying to decipher, like, what's my mom's voice, what's my dad's voice, what's society's voice. Like, I get that. Just go with it, ride through it. You know, they don't want to hear it. It's okay. I know that they'll come around.
Yeah. You got to make those mistakes to be like, okay, that was my mom's voice. Okay, that was society. You kind of got to get a couple of bumps and little bruises to be like, all right, okay, I got it this time, guys. Because I know that my ancestors, if I don't learn the lesson, they're like, again, run it up. She's doing it again.
Louder. She gonna listen this time.
They are like, she's hard-headed. She got that from your side. I feel like that's how my ancestors are.
It's funny because that's similar to like how your ancestors are running it again. It's like, okay, she's not listening. We got to do it again. And I was in a spiritual training last night, and we were talking about retrograde and how it feels like sometimes each retrograde, a similar issue or characteristic or challenge comes up. And it's like, why does it keep coming up? Why do we keep allowing and holding space for it to come up, regardless of retrograde, right? Because yes, this is happening in our universe, and we still continue to have choices and options. Like, am I going to really lean into this? And everybody's favorite example. Am I going to call my ex? Or am I going to go forward?
Which one?
Right. Well, if I'm even giving myself that as an option, that's where I fucked up in the first place. Because if my ex shouldn't be an option, they shouldn't be an option, point blank.
Right. And my ancestors will be like, make them call her.
It's a test. What you gonna do?
Let's see what she'll do with this one.
They blocked. They can't get through anyways. We good.
Did I pass this time, y'all?
Got it. Next retrograde, we're gonna deal with something else.
Exactly.
Okay. So I want to respect time. Is there anything else before we start to wrap up? Is there anything else like social work related or social work and police related or just these fuck systems related that you want to share?
Other than fuck these systems, probably not.
I think I need a t-shirt that says fuck these systems.
Yeah, that's really it. And if you need assistance navigating those systems, please reach out in whatever way you can to whomever. Because having community, and I do truly believe in community care, that we have to help ourselves. And not just ourselves, our tribe. Reach out if you can. And if you don't have somebody, we on Instagram.
Listen. So speaking of Instagram, how can people connect with you and just like soak in? Because you've been out here posting some good resources and some good information and some challenging questions and just like thoughts, right? I'd be pausing when I see yours. I'm like, oh, what she got for me now? What she got for me today? So how can people find you? And I'll also drop it in the show notes.
Thank you. So my Instagram is Let's Unpack Dat. So LALETS.
All fitting. Sorry.
UNPACKDAT. Let's Unpack Dat. I mostly talk about my life in social work and lots of reels that are just joking about social work and various things, resources about really anything that I'm passionate about at that moment. I don't try to necessarily solely prescribe to like one specific thing. Something that I'm passionate about, I'm posting it. So come join me. I love it.
Yes. And that's the realest piece ever, where we're talking about, okay, in this snapshot of my life, this is what's resonating. You're going to see lots of this. But then you come through next week or 2 weeks from now, you're going to see a whole different thing potentially. Cool. Because I like to be flexible. I like to be able to, move through what's speaking to me in this moment. And that's the vibe I'm getting from you. You're like, okay, what's coming through? What do I got to share today?
Yep, exactly.
Yes, I love it. So you already know I stay trying to poach you. You hit me up. You let me know when you're done with your program.
I will.
Come through.
March.
Yes. Jackpot.
Closer and closer.
Oh, you're almost there.
Yeah.
You are almost there.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming through. I mean, like when I say you are one of our first thorough supporters who comes through for Gather and Heal, that's you. That's you. Thank you. Appreciate you so much.
I appreciate Gather and Heal. I wanted community. I wanted internet community. And you all literally, within just your tagline, I was like, So I appreciate all the work that you do, all the work that you put into building this community, all the resources that you provide. I'm so thankful for that. So thank you. Thank you. Round of applause.
Hey. I needed this today. Thank you. Of course. All right, y'all. So, we like to keep it 30, 45 minutes or so, keep it short and sweet for you to listen. Don't be greedy. Share with the homies. We're on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and sometimes we have our video recording up on YouTube. So check it out in case you'd like to see all of our hands flailing all over the place and extra excitement. Our flow.
Yes.
But yes, I hope y'all have nothing short of a beautiful fucking day. Peace.